Yeah. So how's life in the fast lane, everyone?
I'm glad I got the throttle back a little bit. Past 2 days were hectic.
Yeah. You got the logo. You're gonna print some of that stuff out.
Yeah, we're finally getting all that done. We've got a lot of samples we're gonna be taking to Denver with us. We're gonna be getting that done. We're taking a few samples in or a few pieces in for like an initial inventory to put on a Stickman on Stone to have those little touchstones with the Squatterman figure on them.
Okay.
Those released out here soon. So I'm gonna be I was gonna make a stick for that today during the show.
Nice.
On the other cross patterns. Just got to get some initial photography done and then get them loaded up on the websites, and then they'll be up and running.
Okay.
But thank you so much for the graphic.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Welcome to the July 29th edition of the Electric View. I'm Neil Thompson. Today we have David, Robert, and Jim. We will be exploring Jacob Gable's work with EDM at low pressure, cymatic evidence, and a brief history of deception from Martin Luther to TEDx. Please like and subscribe below.
So when's the show? I'm not paying enough attention.
The Denver show is the September, I think, 12th to the 15th. We're going to be heading out there about the 9th or 10th. Get everything situated and stuff. We'll be out there for the week, and then I'm coming home right for my birthday. So,
oh man!
Yeah, it's on the following Sunday on the 16th.
That might be fun for me to finally get out of this, my cave here.
Yeah,
just to visit, to have fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, things are happening. That's for sure.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, cool.
I'm so very, very, very excited.
We're on the radar.
Well.
That's it looks like a radar pulse.
I suppose it does.
Are you seeing right? Yeah, I'm fumbling around here.
You feel free to fumble.
Right.
Yeah, I was actually going to go load up those plasma and dirt discharges because I know David and maybe Jim perhaps haven't seen them yet.
What are they?
They're actually plasma experiments in a small vacuum chamber with some either like dirt and sand that Jacob Gable has been doing, and he's showing electrical cratering and polygonal patterns in the discharge.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet at all.
Yeah.
You definitely want to.
You definitely want to.
What's really nice is this is something I talked about with Billy Elverton and Trevor when they were on here and talking about Billy's research. One of the things that I talked about this with several other people. The issue is basically how do you change the pressure inside the chamber so that you can imitate electrical discharges on other planets? Because Earth is Earth, right? But once you get to certain altitudes, let's say if you want to make a very large example, at a certain altitude, things would become plasma under any stress. It would be just, the only an insulated layer down near the surface would keep you from, would make arcs be required to shoot through that. But you wouldn't have that in the upper atmosphere, for example. So the transportation of material from one place to another would be different than it would be otherwise. And so changing the pressure, basically, it allows you to imitate much, much more interesting environments. So, like other planets, like the moon, like how, because we could see the craters on the moon. Make a moon surface. Let's do that,
Mm-hmm.
So he's showing some of those, and I think that's just fantastic.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I don't know how big the chamber is, but it doesn't look that big. But given the circumstances, I can understand why.
Okay.
Because it's a negative pressure, and
Yeah.
I can't remember how to share screens again. How the hell do we do that?
Oh, it's down.
Good luck.
I think we're gonna have to walk each other through it. I think it's right. Do you have the new one? Do you have this one?
Yeah, I have the new one.
Yeah, it's this one here. Are you on a piece?
That's right. Okay. Just here we go. Share screen. Are we good?
We're good.
All right.
I like my picture.
Let's start the thing up.
All right.
Oh, cool.
If you notice, these are kind of the formations that you'd see almost on Enceladus with those they call cryovolcanoes. Looks like the same thing.
Yes, cryovolcanoes. The stupidest word I've ever heard. I hate to be rude about that.
It's almost like an oxymoron. When
it is an oxymoron. Vulcan means god of fire. Like, this is ridiculous. Volcanology. And then they're going to say cryovolcano. Like, what?
Now you can see the cratering here. And if you look, he's going to rotate the jar, but then you start looking outside the crater, you actually start to see a hexagonal pattern in the ground, or the level.
We'll call it the ground. I understand.
Yeah, we'll call it the ground, because that's what it's supposed to be simulating anyway.
Wow.
I can pause it here if I can find it.
Yeah.
Because someone had actually
kind of showed
the linear lines that it actually patterned, but right towards the end of it,
I can see it. Yeah.
109, I think he said. You can really start to see it. Maybe it might be too grainy because I enlarged it. It's kind of like right.
I saw it for a second. There was
like right here.
Oh.
Start to see it really here in this angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
a little more. And then it's kind of like that was it. But he's got several more of these. We're going to be having him on next month. So.
Wow. So what's he doing there? I mean,
he's just experimenting. He just started doing it because he got inspired, I guess, by like Billy Overton and who else was it? He just sent me in a message, but someone else. Can't remember the name now off the top of my head. But yeah, he just started like messing around in his garage with a vacuum chamber and some dust and some anodes, and started with it.
That's the game, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Well, that's the way it's always been done.
Yeah.
I mean,
let's see here. He's done a few other things here. Let's see if I can find them up on the page. Like here, here's the picture that he kind of highlights. David Brown, actually, who I had on the show a few weeks ago, he actually pointed it out, the highlight. You can see it. And then he was one that actually been posting all these other chambers, like where I think, what was it? There was another one he was trying to like demonstrate a certain phenomenon. I can't remember off the top of my head. I got to searches. My computer's being slow though, so
that's quite all right. I think that what we should really get for him, Jacob Gable really needs a shipment of like myconium powder or something.
Yeah,
like something ultra fine, because that would only exemplify things like those secondary hexagon, for example.
Yeah.
Because
what's the myconium powder?
It's just a fungus powder. It's like from spores from a fungus, but they're often used for cymatic experiments and stuff like that because it's ultra fine. So you can just use instead of like sand. Sand might seem fine, but it's not. You need to be really fine. So that's what
not like microns almost.
Yeah, and it doesn't pack together like clay.
Right.
So when you start doing
suggestion,
stuff like that, good. It's just good for that sort of thing, I would think. Although
I think he went out to the riverfront and grabbed some sand, filtered it.
Yeah. Oh no, nothing wrong with that. Oh, I think that's fine. That's Hey, start with what you got, right?
A real like level of terrain with actual different compositions in it.
Go down. And over there, the one that's stopped. The one right into the middle left. The black one with from whatchamacallit publishing, Mac 2 publishing to the, not middle like the left, but on the middle. Just, go left. Okay, left. That one.
The far left.
Yeah, far left then. But you see how that little thing had a little ball in the middle? That's the powder stuff.
Okay.
So that's taken from a slide from that video that I was talking about. But you see what I mean? That powdery look to it there? That's how fine it is. Yeah.
And just amazing. I mean, look at this.
It actually looked like it had two things spiraling around itself.
It's such a tell to me, right?
Oh yeah,
And I've seen this video, and it's amazing, and you see them in there.
yeah. That's the powder he was using. That's why I was so. If you
Mhm.
want to later, you can go listen and hear it and try to figure out what word it is. But it's myocardium powder or something like that. It's
Okay.
just basically spores, fungus spores. I looked it up one time. So
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
but
Yeah, these would be great. These would be. I mean, with I don't know if anyone has done it, but it's like to set it up, it wouldn't be that expensive, but get a really, really high speed camera.
Well, the
And
problems I have-
really nice lighting on it.
the problem I have now is realizing that you're going to shock spores with lightning, and funguses respond to lightning, so and ions, and after.
Oh,
So
well, you can do this. This is done with sound, though.
No, yeah, but I was thinking about giving him that powder, and I just
Yeah.
realized
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh man, look out! Whoa, you're gonna create something.
suddenly fungus starts growing out of the thing. Oh my god, it's taking over the world!
Right.
You know, he has to run from the lab. It starts eating his
Yeah.
pets. You know,
Right,
like it's a
right.
whole thing.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
overactive imagination happening right there, but still, it would be hilarious.
Right. The gray goo.
The great goo. I've seen this movie before.
Right. But doing this with sound and then a really high speed camera and just going back because this was done in the 60s, right?
I think that was
a lot of stuff, and it's like just to you could set this up like I said fairly inexpensively and do some really really nice compelling video on it.
Well, there's one thing I like about it is that you actually have the nature of vibrations and earthquakes would have accompanied some very massive strikes that hit the planet. So to think that they shouldn't be seen would be, probably not wise to ignore them. They should be considered. I don't know even what these patterns might look like. Like clearly, there's some instances where we saw these patterns in the sky.
Right.
So,
Right.
I can't believe what you showed us yesterday, or the pole thing moving, Jim. That was weird. Not yesterday, but the last episode. There's another shot of that little stuff. That big ball to the right.
This one?
That one. That's
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
video. That's the video.
Let's see it. Yeah, because it's really awesome.
You have to go to the site, I think, visit. Yeah, it's YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is it. See what I
Let's
mean?
check it out.
It's just so
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Oof, and then the smoke.
Just blow it away.
Look, yeah,
But
the
that's
dragon.
So you could really get a good look of it moving.
Yeah, see,
there.
this is, right. Hans Jenny, right?
Well, now I know.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of powder that I would like to give to, or something of that fine, and give that
Right.
to him, so that when he does his experiments, you could see, see the hexagon, clear as a bell.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Effective, this is the narrative. Micropodium, there we go. Incredible. See, it's actually Mystery Science Theater.
oh my god.
Would those be tops?
No,
Or
this is
boiling?
this is caused by vibration, nothing else. So they're not
Right.
tufts, but they are nodes. Like as he moves and changes the frequency, they rearrange themselves
Okay.
to positive and negative points. And
Right.
electricity can do something similar. So this is because both of them work, especially if you're using alternating current, both work with vibration in a way.
Yeah.
So sound, vibration, and electromagnetism all share that commonality. Light does not interfere with itself. So,
Yeah, we know.
well, fair enough. But
There's a big,
We've done
this
some
is
good
of the
optics
foundation
works.
of morphic resonance.
oh well, I wasn't even going into because I mean, we have with him we have series of evidences that we have only a very loose understanding of what could be causing it. Now, just years ago, it was impossible. with the electric universe, it becomes, at least you could start asking the question, how could this possibly occur?
Right.
Before,
Right.
it's like if you needed particles to move from brain to brain, you're not going to get that. It doesn't happen. So what's going on? What is the information exchange? Is there information exchange? It seems that we have basically an effect with no cause, and we need to sort of work that out. That's, to me, is
Well, you got the
a big
effect
step forward.
You got the effect trying to determine what the cause is.
But yeah, but this is the same thing as gravity was under Newton. He was like, we have this effect. What caused it? Who the fuck knows? That was his thing. It was just, I don't know. He even said that in his thing.
That's always the nagging question, though.
It's the next question.
Yeah. Why?
Right. Well, yes, and the answer, because of the bending of space and time that Einstein came up with, is problematic at best.
Yes. We're in harmony on that one.
Is there a plane going by somewhere?
There is, yeah, here.
Ah,
They're coming to get me.
they have planes in L.A.? I didn't think you guys were.
Oh man, I've had a helicopter right outside my.
Didn't they-
I thought they were always helicopters.
Yeah, but I mean, like within 50 yards, coming down into it was just totally.
I remember seeing
straight
that
out-
you
straight
guys
out of
were.
Saigon.
Right? That's what I meant by the helicopters.
I saw you. I saw a movie once where they just walled you guys in, and then Snake Plissken had to go do a bunch of stuff.
Escape from L.A. Yeah.
It's Escape from LA and stuff. Yeah.
Good old Snake.
Yeah.
Good old Snake.
Yeah. But I mean, imagine this really slow motion, and you would see so much because you can see within each of those rotors, you can see all this really, really interesting periodic behavior, So, right?
Right.
See it?
Oh yeah, look at it.
Yeah. So this is it's into a lot of stuff. So anyway, it's really exciting. So, and I've had the just great pleasure and honor of speaking with John Reed, who's like kind of at the tip of the spear here. And I've spoken with John Teller too. I've spoken with this guy.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, and he's created these instruments, and he does like he's over in England and has spent time doing like the old school stained glass work. So he's like quite a accomplished artisan. But
with lead, that's probably not
with lead and everything. Yes. Yeah,
he's going to be mad as a hatter later, won't he?
Yeah, he seems very nice. He's very mellow. But here you start to see the 5 pattern in there.
Yep.
The 5 and the 6 come out really pretty loudly in this stuff. Yeah, and then he's doing it. He's doing what I'm talking about with it. So that 5 is really, this is coming out all over the place. Ultimately, what's up with that geometry? You kind of see the 6 thing in there.
There it is, yeah.
The dual. So you end up going through all the, it's those fundamental numbers. In many ways, it feels like you're going back into like first learning numbers, but then all of a sudden you see them manifesting in form.
Right.
like curvilinear stuff. And he's created this instrument too. So it's all to do with ratios. It's the pure tunings. So
I just heard
another cool. And then he's playing with bubbles as well. So another cool person to link up with.
I clearly don't understand bubbles.
Bubbles. I'm actually dealing with them directly right now, and I'm a neophyte. I was supposed to learn when I was a kid playing with blowing bubbles and all this. Mr. Bubble. No. Back to square one.
I went through a couple TED Talks recently about deception. It was very interesting. One told by a magician and one told by a pickpocket.
The art of deception.
Yes, it was very good.
Yeah.
About how to turn the little guy in your head around so he can access information. And it was very revealing that we don't register half the stuff we see. It was very good. I like it.
Yeah. Well, this is the art of doing that kind of thing, which has been going on for ages, of course. Right? The magician, the deceiving magician.
Well, it's just the great secret, as they call it. It goes, there's no secret but the great secret. Because if you were, he said, the magician said, if you were to look up on Google how to do the balls and cups and limes trick, then it would say something like this: when the audience is not paying attention, put the limes under the cup. And that's all. The great secret is you have to figure out how that works. And it was very good. Very good the way that they were explaining very simple things, and I was impressed.
Yeah. It's kind of like looking at the negative of a photograph, because you're always looking for the light. This is like looking for, okay, where's everyone dark on? The Penn and Teller, I mean, you've watched them, of course, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I mean, the rap and the modus operandi of Penn, He's always. I mean, he's the classic obfuscator, right? Oh yeah, he's pretty compelling. I've liked a lot of the things that he's brought onto the table with. Was it Bullshit or something? That show.
Yep.
Yeah. But he's a classic showman.
Unfortunately, though, some of his arguments were flawed. I've listened to a few of them.
Yeah.
Not all of them, though.
Not all of them, yeah. But he gets very, I'm sure you're familiar with him. Yeah. He's entertaining.
Oh yeah.
So I think a good segue from Thomas Aquinas is Queen Mary here, because that's right in.
What a haircut, eh? Right. Whoever said, you know what?
Who did cool. This? Man,
did you get a little dyslexic?
It kind of does look cool though, but it's like, in that way? You do it this way? And then you got this on.
That's gangster.
That's wow. That's bowl cut with like horns.
But why?
Yeah.
Like
for
I just. Yeah, but why? Like
exactly.
Like at the top of your head, why would you go? I want to be colder. Like. That just shows.
I think it has something to do with mocking or mimicking the halo and giving themselves some more holiness.
I think they're giving a shot with that, yeah.
They got a hair halo.
No. Must polish the top of your head, Tom. Polish the top so that it reflects the sunlight. When you're coming over the hill, they will bow down.
Sunlight, into your pineal gland.
Out there, right.
We knew nothing about it at that time because that was heresy.
Yeah.
Oh, if I was to think of the one organization that holds the most heretical things would be the Roman Catholic Church, since they would lock it away, and they would have a place where they would lock it away, and that place would be filled with all their stuff that they don't want anyone else to see. So that's what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some some examples of stuff from the Vatican Library, and my God, some of the books are like, I had a little bunch of four little books that came in a little thing, and it was basically just they were only. The book was no more than maybe 4 inches by 6 inches or something. It's quite small, but inside were all these pictures of paintings that are in the Vatican Library that no one else has seen. Pages from manuscripts and so forth that are incredibly beautiful, type of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is not even seeing the light of day. Like, this is just tucked away somewhere. I'm like, my God, these are beautiful.
Well, it's amazing, really. I mean, just the amount, the focus of just immense material wealth in that one location is just jaw dropping.
So much so that it's its own country, and it's surrounded by Italy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's the smallest country in the world, technically.
Excuse me.
They usually say smallest country in the world or something besides the Vatican, because it's, but it only has about 1,000 people that live there.
Uh-huh. Right.
That'd be the weirdest passport ever.
It's yeah.
But it would also
it's very weird, like, because just for me, as a kid, my father flew for TWA, back in the 60s and 70s when it was the age of, like, the golden age of airlines. It was always like going on a cruise ship, and he flew 747s international, so he would take me on flight.
Nice.
And I went there, as a kid. It's like I was 7, 8 years old, and for Sunday Mass, where it was St. Paul, whatever, Pope Paul, and he gave the Mass, so I got to see that. But then in later life, it's like I get to meet up with, Ernie, etc. But Ernie got to go and actually have, like, there's a name for it, I forget what they call it, but, meet with the Pope and then get the inside, tour, and he would talk about that. So pretty bizarre. But I mean, just the everything, gold all over the place. It's like he was bothered by it too, and he's Italian, but it's like, but it's like, this is just ostentatious, just display of wealth where, feed the world with what's in this place, easily.
Yeah, you go outside, go a block down the road, and you'll see people begging in the streets.
Yeah, no, and it's like, how is this disparity justified?
Well, yes, and and
wasn't it the current Pope that says that the reason why we have poverty now is because of all the governments and all the wealth?
Well, it's like, I mean, for me, it's like the reason you have poverty is because you got all the wealth stuck in your goddamn Vatican,
Exactly, or within the government coffers,
Yeah. Excuse me for goddamn Vatican.
Rome didn't die; it just changed names.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, the artist, it's just it's priceless.
I keep wondering when I think about that. Like I said before, when you hear about that, it became the Holy Roman Empire, so to speak, and then this Pope, and then he started ruling over all the kingdoms, as being above them. I just keep wondering, is this what caused that separation between, Tartar Empire and the, do we even have that part of history right about why they were rejecting, what rule were they rejecting, who was really, what was the territories, what did they consider important? These are harder to answer things than we might think.
Mhm.
because it's so long ago. I mean,
Yeah.
because we just don't have enough information. And of course, these people might have documents, but they're certainly not sharing them.
You start to get into tune with the methodology of what the control is, and then you start seeing, just picking up on these other cultures that didn't have that thing, and then that starts a chain reaction for some reason. What was going on in Persia back around, right around, that period of the birth of Christ is very curious. And not particularly covered well in mainstream academia at all. And then it's like you dive into it, and particularly now with our ability to cross-reference down there. There's like some fairly significant changes that happen right at that point in time.
Oh, well, yes, it's 700 years after the birth of most of the philosophies, the last of the catastrophes, so to speak. So you got, if it is to be Velikovsky and wise, it was like 685 BC, and then you have Lao Tzu, you got Confucius, you got Siddhartha, you got Plato, all of them coming out of the woodwork, and then basically this was the middle ground. Egypt, the Levant, and Mesopotamia, and over to Rome, the Mediterranean, Greece, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where, this is where the world met. In a way, there was kind of a crossing there because it's a choke point almost. Everything goes through the Red Sea or goes across the land from, Arabia, or, everything from Africa ends up to the north to Egypt for sale, to Rome, to, it's quite crazy when you think about how amazing that little area was. So the ideas that were being expressed, and to see Hindu ideas get translated into basically choke out all of the Egyptian and the Greek and Roman gods.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite potent, because it had a certain philosophy. I think they sold it well. I'm not even sure, but like I said,
that's correct, actually, because Noah was not 2,000 years after. Abraham was not 2,000 years after Noah. It was more like 250 years.
Is it?
Yeah. Because Noah was the time of the flood, and about 250 years after that was the time of Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
So that's incorrect.
I thought this is Moses.
No. Abraham. They're called the Abrahamic religions. So
yeah,
that's
right.
This is disturbingly crazy.
Just looking at, I've seen this discussion, the narrative around this thing.
I don't think I would want to, only because it presupposes something that, I could, and I'm the guy who would sit there and argue for the world flood, okay? And I still don't think that timeline's correct, okay? You get my meaning?
Right.
It's weird that I would say something like that I would have, it makes me feel strange in a way, because obviously I'm just not the kind of guy who necessarily believes, or I might be somewhat spiritual, but I'm not, into any sort of organized way. But I study this stuff because there's information there, and it's studying.
Exactly.
So, I would probably lend credence to more of the firmer established timeline from the Hindu and Chinese and other such people before I necessarily bought into that. Because the timeline that they say there, creation was something that we witnessed. If we witnessed creation, then we were on the planet. So Adam and Eve might not actually have been people as much as they were exemplars, just like, Guinevere and Lancelot and King Arthur and archetype type things. Yes, exactly. The two people on either side of the tree, Thor, Freya, Odin.
Yeah.
Are we looking at that?
Right.
So if when I see
Right.
those patterns, I just would usually stick them into there. But that it doesn't mean that there weren't amazing events that caused these stories to be made, and so that's worth studying for because that's clearly some amazing stuff. And like I said, we've had this discussion before about what Noah's Ark might have been like. Was because they said some descriptions show it as a pyramid. Then there's Gilgamesh, and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And of course, the death of Osiris, the death of the King Arthur, and how they all are sort of the same story in a weird way. I've heard more about these weird cycles
they're
too.
Remembering. How about that? With
that's exactly what they are. They're remembering.
They're not remembering, right? That's actually part of the story.
Remembering.
Right.
They put his members back on. They put his member back on. No, they didn't. Actually, there was one member he couldn't find.
Oh, they couldn't get that one?
Right. So I hear. I don't know.
Rough one to miss.
I think his sister was looking and she really didn't like that thing. I think she has some sort of trauma. I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
I just have. I've heard some stories. I don't really know. I'm just making stuff up.
That the 2x2 with Noah, though, that's pretty interesting. 2x2. I mean, that all seems metaphorical,
Well, they could have
gathers. I mean, this is a totally impossible thing to do, but it's like, okay, so what is that metaphor actually pointing to?
Well, that's what I mean. There was.
Is it pointing to actually maybe a formula? Yeah.
No. Someone was if it was an astral event, it was something they saw in the sky. There's certain players that you'd have to understand. So there was the putting on the boat 2x2. Okay, that seems to indicate something traveling in pairs upwards to this
sexes,
object.
Right, so you have each of the sexes so you could continue the species, right?
Well, no, that's what makes sense to us in our story, but I'm just trying to break it down to a visual. Like, for example, what was the dove? What was the branch it brought back? If this stuff was happening in the sky, was it like a passing comet? What, this type of thing. That's what I'm trying to infer, trying to understand it from that point of view. But I don't, I mean, this is just another attempt to interpret the Velikovsky ideal. I've seen that one, that Ancient Origins of Boat thing. Did you see that one?
Oh, maybe not specifically, but I've seen groups of them.
Yeah. They think that's a boat because they see iron. Of course, now I have debates, but electrically speaking now, because because
did you see the one?
Iron's easy to find.
The most what is it? Ambrowski, with the director who did the most recent one with Russell Crowe.
The Noah thing.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. They did a recent one.
I saw that movie.
I liked so much that they got mad, or that people got mad that Noah got drunk, and it's like, well, it's in the book. It's in the Bible.
It's in the book. He was a drunkard.
Yeah.
You know, why are you getting mad? It's in the I don't know. Some people really like to wash their.
Well, most people don't know is he got raped too.
But
was it pretty accurate?
Know about that.
Did you find, Robert? Did you find that the movie pretty accurate?
No.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I mean,
no, especially with the watchers. No.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah, that was my gut feel on it. But interesting that they put so much effort into putting that thing out, and got behind it.
Well, it's not hard to find funding for something like that because, I mean, no offense, but there's always a rich Christian somewhere.
Raped. I mean, that's why he cursed Ham's son for, because when he woke up from his drunkenness, he had immediately known that he had been violated, and he slept naked. So it was like, what happened?
Wow.
How do you immediately know you've been violated when you just woke up? I mean, we make jokes about that today. It's like if you woke up out in the middle of the wilderness, naked and your butt hurt, would you tell anybody?
Right.
Well, that's what happened to him.
Yeah.
That's why he cursed Ham's the son. Is like, that's what happened. I mean, read it.
Man, right.
See, so you get these crazy points. Well, you got these, and of course that's just one tale, which is that's one tale written there.
The power, right? But the power of something like this, that's basically, okay, is it a myth or is it actually history?
What was
and it's always this. it's always this interplay with this, and there's a lot. They know that there's a lot of energy with this type of thing, you know.
But according to
and then screw around with it all the time. You know? I mean, they did it with just for current literature. I don't know if you saw the Scarlet Letter.
Oh yeah.
The most recent one, they did a remake of it and with Demi Moore. It's like this has nothing to do with the book, you know. It's like, well, why? This is a demonstration of we control your literature, you know.
Yeah,
that's ultimately the message, and it's like that's obnoxious to me.
Well, you should see the amount of fighting that me and my friends do with regards to the correct interpretation and the Holy Bible, which is Star Wars and the Marvel movies.
Yeah, I know. I can say. Yeah.
You should see what
how
Star Trek goes through our heads. Is like, no, this is not the original. 2009 and beyond is all just crap. You know, like, and we'll scream about that, and then we'll rant about Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 9 was it doesn't deserve to be canon, and you can't talk about that because that wasn't the, you know.
But
the transporter is just a suicide machine.
You treat it like it's scripture, right? You treat it like it's someone holy.
Well, actually, right? you right there just exactly nailed Seneca's point of view of regards to Christians.
Uh-huh.
Seneca was, I think I said this before, had the opinion, and this is his opinion, that Christians are Harry Potter fans in a way, that were basically individuals who fell in love with the story, that because this story has been retold, and each of the Gospels are a point of view of the same tale of that story. And these stories were told by travelers that came from the East, apparently, that sort of amalgamated a bunch of stuff together to create plays, because they were travelers, and this is how they did to make money and so forth, and spread their message, sort of like Hare Krishnas today type of thing, right? And this is, and then 200 years later, everyone forgot that it was a story. It became real. You know, it became the dominant story, the great story, because it had such a powerful message, one that, you know, that basically gave them hope. That change of we don't know what the gods want to no, he died for our sins. There is hope now. See, this is why I don't necessarily bash anything with regards to Christianity on that level. The overall message, and Jesus Christ's message, is generally a good one. Don't be dicks. Be kind to your neighbor. Love one another. You know, that's good stuff. You know, and it gives you hope that you can, you know, you have an afterlife. But they turned that into something sort of weird with the religions later on. But the original message, for a few hundred years there, it looked like the world was going to be just the most wonderful place in the world. You know, it was basically like, if you thought about it, they were turning Washington, D.C. into San Francisco in their heads. I know that's just the whole, it was sort of like the hippie movement moved through. Christians were like the hippie movement type of thing.
Oh, right.
That's all of Rome. I meant. Yeah. I didn't mean to. Yeah. I didn't mean to be insulting.
No,
I don't know. Okay.
I got it.
But I don't know if that's true. There's only one passage that even lends credence to this. So
they got. But what happened? I mean, from my understanding, is that the bishop, right? But in that span between like the late 70s and then leading up to Constantine, there were bishops that came up, and they would fight like crazy over like just like specific dogma, and they would have like kind of like really violent situations that would come up between the different sects that had like kind of blossomed out of it.
Oh yeah, they thought they were all the right one. Oh yeah, that's the same thing today too.
There's a lot of we are the real. Yeah, I mean, and look at what happened with Protestantism. Just schism into like thousands of pieces. Which is
Well, actually,
it's interesting, and it's against the message to me. The message is pretty clear that he wants nothing to do with anything, that it actually manifests into,
Oh yeah. I'm sort of with Thomas Jefferson on the whole. It's best just to take the Bible, cut out all the parts of everything extraneous, and just have a nice 40-page work that says the life and teachings of Jesus Christ, and just leave it at that.
I used to describe that, but I don't think Thomas Jefferson pulling all the miracles out of the New Testament. That's what you're referring to.
I think something like that.
His Bible, yeah. So, but I used to describe to that until you start looking at them metaphorically, and then once you see them metaphorically as an internal process, and then as the kingdom, of heaven is within, that whole thing, and then our exotic Terence McKenna ideas with the trips into the Neoplan. It's like there's a whole other story here.
But all I meant was that there's a lot of jibber jabber that has nothing to do with anything, but the overall sense that I got from what I've read of his works in general, or what is attributed to his words, are generally the type of things that I would get from, a good actor on television who's portraying someone noble or with good, wholesome ideas, like from some of my favorite television shows, like sci-fi shows or whatever. So
right.
In that sense, I don't see any problem with this kind of thing. It's when the trappings start getting wrapped up in the whole thing, and that's what Protestantism was objecting to. Is like, what's going on?
Yeah. So it's care for an indulgence.
Yeah. Buying that, paying that. But
Martin Luther is a great example of of a meme war.
Yes.
I mean, he conducted
the first
single man meme war,
and it was a good one, and
it worked.
Well, he also had the advantage of, once printing presses could happen, the war was on. It was just like the internet.
Yeah.
It was like the birth of the internet right there.
Right.
You mean all I need to do is go to and have one of these machines, and I could print a 1,000-page book.
This is the beauty of these unintended consequences of technology.
Yeah, it destroyed that piece of technology, destroyed the stranglehold of the Roman Catholic Church, and gave birth to the Renaissance, really.
Yeah, and ultimately their stranglehold on consciousness. One might argue.
It's a very good argument.
Kind of makes you think what Bitcoin's going to do to our banking system.